Thanks for joining us for another edition of National Focus. I'm Tasia Floissac. Coming up, government signs multi-million-dollar agreement with the World Bank to strengthen its resilience to climate change. A flow test has been conducted at Geothermal production well in Loda, and we'll bring you scenes from Jazz and Creole 2014. Stay tuned for these and other stories after this.
The black Sikatuka fungus can survive on banana and plantain leaves even after they have been cut from the tree. Farmers and hucksters are encouraged to use alternate cushioning material when moving produce from farm to the market. Do not use banana and plantain leaves as cushioning. It is against the law to move banana and plantain trash from the field. Obey the law and stop the spread of black Sikatuka today.
Thanks for staying with us. After months of negotiations between the government of Dominica and the World Bank, approximately $103 million was made available to Dominica in grant funds and concessionary loans to enable the country to better prepare for the inevitable effects of climate change. The financing is part of a pilot program for climate resilience and the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit penned his signature to the agreements on Tuesday during a ceremony at the conference room of the Ministry of Finance.
We are most grateful for the grant component from the CIF in an amount of US $12 million. We are also happy that the Strategic Climate Fund loan of US $9 million and the IDA loan of US $17 million are highly concessionary. As a matter of fact, both interest rates stand at 0.5%.
The Dominica leader says the initiatives, which will be developed with funds from the project, will reduce Dominica's vulnerability to natural hazards and the impact of climate change through investments in infrastructure, as well as improved hazard data collection and monitoring.
The project will undertake major roads and related physical infrastructure. Improvements in the eastern and other parts of the country as follows. Pont-Cassé to Bois-Diab, Bois-Diab to Cassibrousse, Cassibrousse to Petit Soufrière, Cassibrousse to Hatton Garden, and of course including the Carib Territory and Atkinson. Jubic Phase 1 cliff stabilization and roadworks, and those of us who are familiar with this part of the country understand the extreme vulnerability of Jubic and Cassibrousse and the Bois-Diab area. The West Coast water project storage tanks, and of course water inventory, capacity building and adaptation to climate change, formation of spatial data management system, improving and expanding of climate change and seismic monitoring system, agroforestry, food security, and soil stabilization, sustainable land management, and construction of storm drains. These interventions are comprehensive and will result in tremendous benefits to the residents of all the neighboring communities.
Minister for the Environment, Natural Resources, Physical Planning and Fisheries, Honorable Dr. Kenneth Daru, is very optimistic about the impact of this project on the lives of nationals.
We envisage this project as one that is comprehensive, holistic, and integrated for climate change resilience, that is inclusive of key sectors and vulnerable groups, especially women and the indigenous Kalinago people. We also anticipate a continued engagement with our development partners in support of its transition to a climate resilient development path through procedures developed for assessing economic costs and benefits of priority adaptation measures to guide decision-making and national budgeting processes.
The senior country officer of the World Bank to the OECS and Barbados says this will complement government's ongoing efforts to prepare itself for the impact of climate change.
The government has already done a lot in better equipped itself over the last 10-15 years. There are a lot of policies and strategies already in places. And our expectation is that this project really will add to that, will improve the capacity to prevent disaster and to adapt to climate change.
We will provide you with more on Tuesday's ceremony in Wednesday's newscast. Those who missed Jazz and Creole 2014 will have to wait until next year for an experience like that again. The much-anticipated event was a hit on Sunday. Jazz and Creole fans flocked to the Cabrits National Park to be ministered to by rhythms of the likes of Monty Alexander, Heston Charles, Beethoven Obas, Eric Ildefonse, Lufa Francois, and headliner Angelique Kidjo. Local acts like Mel C, Michael Henderson Del Sol, Joy Stout, Phase 5 Pan Edition, Golda Scotland Andrew, Brave and Tiffany Main also thrilled the crowd, making for a soulful Sunday experience. Here's a look at a few of the performances. Throughout the week leading up to this event, the Discover Dominica Authority and its partners held fringe events across the island, teasing the public while they waited. It seems it was well worth it. In more news, government's geothermal energy pursuits continued on Tuesday morning with the conducting of a flow test at a production well in Loda. Mervyn Matthew has more in this report.
It's just after 9 a.m. at the WWP1 geothermal production site in Loda. A flurry of activity on this wet Tuesday morning as officials prepared for the initiation of a flow test. This will determine the generation capacity of this production well. It's a sensitive operation and nothing is left to chance. Security is priority, and the presence of officials of the Dominica Red Cross, Fire and Ambulance Service and the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force is a sign that officials are prepared for any uncertainties.
We ensured that all persons within the exclusion zone was off-site or evacuated before. We then had the assistance of our fire officers to open up the valve for the very first time. Then we checked the air quality on the site and around the site to ensure that all of the gas was released and dispersed. And then, as you can see, we have steam and hot fluid coming to the surface, and then all personnel was allowed back on site.
It will take this fire officer to get this flow test started, a test which will run for the next 6 days.
We initiated the test at 9:27 this morning, and by 9:35 the gas cap was released, and the immediate danger was as it had passed, and now we just have steam and hot fluid coming up to the surface.
This morning's exercise was another step in the ongoing efforts by the DLP administration to ensure that it adopts the best practices as it forges ahead in its quest to harness the existing geothermal energy potential. Energy Minister Honorable Reuben Blackmore, who witnessed the test, told GIS News that the administration is committed to the safety of residents of the Roseau Valley as it continues its geothermal energy pursuits.
We have to continue to ensure that we put all systems in place to ensure that the safety of the people of Loda and Dominica on the whole is not compromised at all.
The objective of this project by government is to ensure the provision of cheaper and more reliable source of energy.
We have to get to the point in our development as a people where we can create an environment where we can actually entice energy-intensive companies to come here and to set up shop and to create 21st century jobs for our children and our children's children. And of course, the issue of high energy costs is a drag to any economy. And we believe that our effort in geothermal is going to pay off and pay off in a big way.
There has been concerns raised by residents, and government has responded by hosting meetings in the Roseau Valley with engineers from around the world with decades of experience in geothermal energy production. With the increasing cost of energy worldwide, there is a growing focus on renewable sources of energy. In Dominica, the DLP administration is focused on the exploration of its geothermal potential.
Geothermal energy is something that we possess in Dominica. We have it in abundance. We have an abundance of it, and we have to, harvest it for people and the future of our country.
For National Focus, I am Mervyn Matthew reporting.
Thank you, Mervyn, for that report. In other news, in many legal cases in Dominica, much time is spent tearing apart the investigation by the defense. This process, which has proven to be an inconvenience to the prosecution, can now be brought to heel thanks to the implementation of the Points to Prove handbook. During the official handing over ceremony of the handbook, Police Prosecutor Inspector Michael Loda revealed that he was contacted by Criminal Justice Advisor to the Eastern Caribbean States at the U.S. Embassy in Barbados, Dan Suter, who queried whether the inspector was interested in implementing this handbook with 6 to 8 police officers in their line of duty.
I realized that it could provide a quick reference guide for police officers to carry around so that they could know what points to cover for most common criminal offenses. Also, I realized it could help police officers find appropriate police action whilst on the move on their duty.
This booklet was made possible through the collaboration of the U.S. Embassy to the Eastern Caribbean based in Barbados, the United Kingdom Foreign and Commonwealth Office through its High Commission Office, also in Barbados, and the National Prosecution Service in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The Points to Prove booklet represent a contribution of the National Prosecution Service in bringing about positive change to the criminal justice system in the Commonwealth of Dominica. The booklet reflects a new kind of partnership between the prosecuting agency and the investigative branch that can lead to improved efficiency of investigations and presentation of cases at the court. This will help improve public safety and enhance the quality of life in the communities around the state in Dominica.
Once edited for use in the Commonwealth of Dominica and approved by the Chief of Police, the U.S. Embassy covered the cost of printing and delivering of this handbook.
Once the booklet was approved by the Chief of Police, that the U.S. Embassy in Barbados would pay the cost of printing all the booklets so that every police officer in the Commonwealth of Dominica could have access and have one of those booklets.
Former Director of Public Prosecution, Jean Pestana, also recognized the Points to Prove handbook as an essential tool for the Dominican police officers. Chief of Police Daniel Cabon noted that the amount of training and assistance given to the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force over the past 2 years should be commended.
In my lifespan in this force, I've never seen a force that has gotten so much training, assistance, and that is right across the board, especially training. It is said that the police force in the last 2 years have gotten more training than the last 20 years. We have had assistance, I must say, from government, from our donor partners in relation to vehicles, motorcycles, IS equipment. And so the call is mine to make. A police force cannot receive so much assistance and not provide the goods to the people of this country.
The police chief also called out to officers to do their jobs as professionally as possible with the assistance of the newly implemented handbook. And in other news, the Ministry of Education is hoping to continue a relationship with the Numbers Alive organization. Dr. Rebecca Clem, founder of Numbers Alive, also known as the Numbers Lady, visited the Rosa Public Library on Friday, June 6, to conduct a series of workshops. Learning Support Advisor for Mathematics in the Ministry of Education, Clement Vital, said that his department is continuously in search of exciting ways to promote this subject, and the collaboration with Dr. Clem provides a new and hopefully long-lasting opportunity.
We are continuing to find or develop or seek assistance in helping us to really make mathematics a fun, loving subject again. And we focus not only on the primary, but from the primary to the secondary levels. Well, I hope that this is the first of it, and we will continue. We will be in connection with Dr. Glynn and her group, because she's the president of a group that they call it Number Alive. So we'll be in connection with her. We'll have her back sometime in the future to really continue the program with us.
In related news, Dominica continues to benefit from workshops such as these thanks to its relationship with the U.S. Embassy. Public Affairs Officer in the U.S. Embassy, Yolanda Kearney, said that the embassy believes in early education and tailors its assist programs to suit the specific needs of each country.
We have country-specific priorities that are based on what the governments have said their priorities are. So it's not a monolith. We know that when people look alike, for example, but they may sound alike, it's easy to start thinking about countries as a monolith. Oh, it's the Eastern Caribbean, so what Dominica needs is exactly what St. Lucia needs, and that's not true. So we take our cues from our government partners. We have long conversations with them. We talk closely with the Ministries of Education, which is, for example, how Aganar came about. This is not the United States government decided that this is what should happen. This comes out of a long discussion with the Ministry of Education about what Dominica would like to see happening and what Dominica has already started to establish.
Dr. Clem met with students, teachers, coaches, and parents, reinforcing mathematical concepts in sports. Dr. Clem's visit was facilitated by the American Corner of the Public Library, which is sponsored by the Office of the Public Affairs of the United States Embassy in Barbados. And finally, this news time. Every year, the people of Dominica celebrate the feast of Saint Isidore, the patron saint of laborers and farmers. Saint Isidore, which is commonly recognized in the month of May, was this year observed on June 8, 2014. The villages of Grand Bay and Saint-Sauveur celebrated this feast in a big way, with music, song, and dance characterizing this year's celebration. The community of Saint-Sauveur began Sunday's commemoration of the village feast with a grand procession to the Saint-Sauveur Catholic Church. Government ministers, local farmers, youth, and the elderly took to the streets in a parade of bands smartly dressed in festive outfits. Members of the farming community came bearing gifts of agricultural produce in abundance to honor the saint. Father Elvio Augustine, who officiated the Mass, cautioned the congregation to remember God in the midst of their festivities.
He makes the rain fall, He makes the plants to grow, He makes the thunder to roll, the lightning to flash, the dashing to mature. Think about the Dominica without rain for 3 long years. Rain and water we take for granted. We pollute the rivers. We do all sorts of things with our limited natural resources. We take it for granted. The river was a river where people once stood on the bridge and fished out big millet. You can stay now and see the stone at the base of the water. Things are just going haywire because man has disobeyed God.
In light of this focus on agricultural contributions, the community honored 92-year-old former seamstress and farmer Helen Tuce as an outstanding Fete Isidore elder. Tuce, better known as Auntie Ellen, apart from religiously offering her produce during the festival each year, has also participated actively by designing Isidore outfits and leading the Good Hope Band, Band Bowman. Teacher Cynthia Stevenson and teacher Ernie were also recognized for their significant contributions to community development. The church celebration is usually followed by cultural performances sometime later during that day. The Fête Isidore celebrations, which officially kicked off last Wednesday, June 4th, ended on Monday, June 9th. And that's the English segment of the news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, le gouvernement Dominique tape bon résultat de banque la terre pour mitigation bagage changement climatique qui a affecté environ et puis infrastructure pays là. On papier te taper attention pour te voyer pour banque là considérer et puis taper pouvoir. Une délégation banque là en Dominique poussé à Guéméa aujourd'hui entre Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt et officier banque là. En même temps aussi, ministère environ Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow fait parole comme Dominique bien plaisir pour recevoir un package avec 3 millions de dollars qui allait financer divers projets.
C'est une manifestation en vision gouvernement, because gouvernement recognize importance la environ qu'a joué à la latte Jésus ça. Issues environ sustainable development, climate change. So la Prime Minister mette moi en charge cabinet ça, mon ka changer premier interview moi excité because moi te ka suivre ces discussions contre climate change international and international debate là. So aujourd'hui comme on dit c'est result trois ans de travail. Si mon peut-être que changer là nous launch un programme ça 3 ans Fort Young. Là, nous invitons toutes ces various agencies, gouvernements, NGOs, tout le monde qui nous croit qui ça mettait input pour développer une stratégie ça là. Et ça qui fait que nous toutes ces agencies et stakeholders ça y fait nous assis dans la table là et nous décider qui manière climate change qui affecte Dominique avec qui secteurs climate change qui affecte et nous mettre priority, ça nous a créé priority areas. So World Bank là, ça c'était un programme World Bank nous a créé PPCR, Pilot Project Towards Climate Resilient. Et bien ça qui était fait Dominique, chaque pays, parce que Dominique c'est 6 autres pays dans le Caraïbes là qui est sélecté pour projet ça là. Et bien chaque pays tenait pour présenter national strategy. So national strategy nous présenter national strategy nous ça c'est l'année passée en Washington. Ça a été approuvé et bien ça nous fait actuellement c'est pour mettre projets ensemble qui contribuent à des projets qui tomber à base de priority areas là nous identify à la national strategy là.
En la nouvelle gouvernement Dominique du plan pour ressources center entre Folga. Parole ça là sorti du parlement Honorable Dr. John Colin McIntyre. Honorable McIntyre aussi mentionné National Employment Program en Valley là.
Resource Center, c'est plan pour Resource Center. Actuellement, côté planning, nous avons regardé comme si comment nous avons poussé plan ça pour ces gens qui ont un bon 9 Resource Center. Là, il y a ça qui comme si des yoni habités, il y a vini là, il y a apprendre check bien, il y a faire des meeting là, faire Resource Center, by computer, moun faire des bail, il y a un bon petit bail man. N'importe meeting, il y a comme si il y a product c'est bail ça. Now, il y a le bail là, vous savez, il y a un National Employment Program, il y a des jeunes gens qui pas de travail. So actuellement, il y a un petit travail. Il y a venir là, il y a nettoyer là, puis brush cutters, toute qualité gear, goggles, etc. Et ces jeunes gens là, il y a ça qui ils ont tapé un petit l'argent. Et bien nous avons parlé et puis toutes ces councils là, council Roosevelt pour faire ça, et puis council Kaiche, ils ont bien puis nous là, c'est nous qui aider ces gens là. Nous baillons des washing machine tout, nous avons fait un petit bail comme si on était laundry pour eux. So c'est bail ça, nous avons travaillé pour aider ces gens là à Kaiche toutes ces places là.
En la nouvelle, chef officier éducation Grand Moun Mafa André, qui a créé un membre public là pour prendre l'avantage cost l'État, division là qui a offert. Division ça là qui est l'office Ayo à Kennedy Avenue en Roseau, qui a offert bon cost qui a motivé moun en diverses communautés. Selon Madame André, division là ni pouvoir pour montrer moun divers l'État, bagay qui a affecté la corruption développement sustainable. André fait parole malgré éducation formelle importante. Moun pas supposé dépendre à souhait concernant manière en la vie. Madame André ka aussi fait parole qu'il est aussi ça c'est pour les bons, ça a joué un pas autant significant et puis challenge moun peut expériencer pour établir un business. Finalement, le gouvernement Dominique tient opération pour tester l'occasion géothermique en l'Ouda Jordéen. Parole ça la sortie de permanent secrétaire ministre énergie Lucien Blackmore.
Essayer déjà de faire collaboration avec le network, avec tous ces gens dans notre pays qui ont spécialisation là, qui ont knowledge là, avec expérience là. So, bagay qui marche bien quand nous commençons à coûter mes cafés pour faire déjà bagay testing, flow test qu'on a qui. So, bagay qui marche June 10th, avec qui aller pour 6 jours. C'est le premier. Là, nous commençons pour 2-3 hours. Nous avons pour seal off area pour certains personnes et puis là pour well control. Mais après 2 hours là, nous avons essayé d'ouvrir et faire normal si commencer. C'est pour exploiter la monitor ça qu'a fait avec certains nous avons test là pour faire certains nous avons toutes ces bons properties là nous avons garder pour.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Moi, c'est McPherson et Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up next, we'll provide you with a tip that can possibly relieve your chikungunya symptoms.
What's for dinner?
I know, but you want Cheryl.
Who? Cheryl? Oh, babes, that's nothing.
Nothing? Within there, but that is nothing?
Hon,
come
on.
Whatever.
You know you're my number
And she's number what, 10? Plenty married women get engaged from the husband these days. I don't want to be one of them. From now on, I'm looking out for me.
But babes, I only talk to the woman.
Until I'm certain this will take care of both of us, if you're lucky.
Your family depends on you. Don't take home aids.
In-studio discussions, Insight, Creole News, Road to the Throne, Calypso, Creole Festival, Carnival, and lots more local programming. See it all on the Government Information Service, your first for local news.
First and foremost, find the biggest papaya leaf you can. Cut the large veins out of it and use what's left to make a cup of tea by blending it and adding half a cup of water. After it has cooled, strain the tea and drink a tablespoon in the night and 1 in the morning. Store the rest in the refrigerator for later use. According to Aaron Marisetti, local Dominican, usually 2 tablespoons will cut the fever and significantly reduce joint pains and other chikungunya symptoms. Papaya leaf is also used as a remedy to reduce blood pressure. Individuals who are on medication for either high or low blood pressure are advised to consult with a doctor before testing this method. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Friend us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire GIS News production team, I'm Tasia Floissac. Thanks for watching.